This story was built around a terrible joke I heard. So I like to apologize in advance for the punchline. I had been traveling for miles, on foot, putting one foot after the other, just strolling forwards. My feet, my body, my back, everything hurt. I hadn't eaten for 2 days, and my stomach just hurt. When looking around, I noticed that there was nothing around me. In all the directions I looked, there was nothing but rocks. Mountains lined all the horizons. No way I was going to be able to gather or hunt for food. Was this it? Was I destined to die between those gray rocks? And then I saw it. On the side of a cliff, a large stone building was carved out. It was kind of hidden in the cliff, following its natural curve, but it unmistakably was a building. I stumbled to the large wooden doors. The brown wood stood out against the gray rocks, but despite that, the door looked very simple. Just some planks nailed together. I dragged my starving and hurt body to the wooden doors, and with my last strength, I knocked twice on the doors. To my surprise, a man opened. He had brown hair and brown eyes, and he was wearing a white monastic habit. He helped me stand on my feet and spoke softly to me. "Welcome to the Snowfall Monastery, traveler," he said. "You must be starving. Please follow me inside, we were just about to eat." I eagerly followed the monk inside, as he led me to a small room with a wooden table. Around the table, 4 other monks were sitting. They were eating strange, white food. It looked a bit like cheese or tofu, but it smelled different. The monk grabbed a plate from a nearby dresser and invited me to join them. As we ate, he introduced himself and the other monks, but if I can be honest with you, I didn't pick up their names. I was too focused on the food. I don't know if it was the fact I was starving, or the quality of the food, but the white substance was the most delicious thing I ever ate. It was creamy like cheese, but tasted very earthy, and had a sweet aftertaste. I eagerly shoved down all of it. "This is delicious, what is it?" I asked. The monk looked at me. "I wish I could tell you, but I cannot because you are not a monk." I raised my eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "The food is an old recipe, a secret, held by us Snowfall monks. We are not allowed to share its name or its ingredients with anyone who is not a monk." "I see," I say, growing slightly suspicious. "Thanks for your hospitality, but I should get going." "Don't you want to stay for the night?" the monk asked. "We can offer you a warm bed, then you don't have to sleep on the hard rocks." I was a bit suspicious, but how could I resist? My body was beaten up and tired, I was exhausted, and I wanted nothing more than to sleep. So I agreed to stay the night. The monk led me to a small bedroom, with a single bed in it. "This will be your room for tonight," he said. "Thank you." He hands me 2 earplugs. "As long as you are inside of the walls of this monastery, it is very important you plug your ears during the night. Under no circumstance, remove your earplugs before I come to wake you up in the morning. Do you understand?" I hesitantly grabbed the earplugs. "Why?" "I wish I could tell you, but I cannot because you are not a monk." "Okay. Promise me you will not remove them," he said. "I promise." I stuffed my ears with the earplugs and lay down on the bed. It didn't take long before I drifted into a deep sleep. I woke up in the middle of the night to a strange sound. I felt my ear with my hand and noticed the earplug had fallen out during the night. Goddamn it. I listened more intently. The sound I was hearing was some of the most beautiful singing I ever heard. My heart raced as I heard it. I had to find the source of the beautiful singing, with every muscle in my body. I jumped out of bed and followed the source of the singing. As I wandered in the halls, the singing became louder and louder, until I arrived at a large golden door. The singing is clearly coming from behind it. I tried to open the door, but it is locked. I jumped when I heard a voice behind me. "You removed your earplugs, didn't you?" I turned around and saw the monk standing in front of me. He didn't look angry, more apologetic. As if he felt bad for me having to hear that singing. I didn't understand it. That singing was the most beautiful thing I ever heard. Why would you want to deny any soul to hear that? What is behind that door? I asked. What kind of creature is creating this beautiful song? I wish I could tell you, but I cannot because you are not a monk. I was getting annoyed. I really needed to know what creature was producing that sound. Before I heard the song, my life had no purpose. I felt like finding out the source of the singing was the only purpose I ever had in my life. Letting me live out my life never knowing what the creature was nothing but cruelty. I just had to know. So I sighed and asked the monk a question that would forever change my life. How do I join the monastery? How do I become a monk? Well, the monk said. It is not that hard. All you have to do is read the rules of our monastery and sign the contract with blood, promising eternal servitude to the monastery. I can draft the contract right here right now if you want. But know this, traveler. I can assure you, it is not worth it. I speak from experience. If you join us, you can never leave the monastery again. You are destined to live out your days here. I decided to ignore the monk's warning. I just had to find out what creature made this beautiful sound. Everything else seemed unimportant. Living out the rest of my life not knowing what the creature was, seemed like the most horrible fate imaginable. A fate I didn't want to inflict on my worst enemy. I'll do it. The monk handed me a scroll. Before you make your decision, please read our rules. If you do this, there is no turning back. I opened the scroll and skimmed the rules. Some of the rules were as expected, while others were really strange. One rule said I had to draw a centiliter of blood every day, and another said that I could never touch my own toes again. And you might think that those rules are red flags, and I should have run for the hills at that point, but honestly, I didn't care at that point. All I cared about was finding out what creature created that mind-bending serenade. So I decided to sign the contract in blood. Welcome to the order, the monk said, folding the contract. His voice didn't sound welcoming, it sounded sad. As if he just condemned me to a terrible fate. Can I now see the creature? He reluctantly grabbed his keys from his belt and opened the door. At that moment, I glanced at the creature for the first time in my life. Changing my life forever. Suddenly, everything made sense, the food, the strange rules, the other monk's reluctance. It all clicked like I found a missing puzzle piece. And I wish I could tell you what the creature looked like, but I cannot because you are not a monk. The end.